With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced Sim Racing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-Box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
The drivers of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series come to New Hampshire this week for one primary reason: to win. But who will leave tonight having conquered this 1 mile oval? Abner Acosta isn't taking last week's win for granted. Will we see him, Dixville, notch up another win? Or will we see another Chris Sanu new winner this season? I'm going to stop Appalachian onto this bit, so let's knock this race into gear. Hi everybody, welcome to round 4 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, live from the virtual New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Hi everybody, Joey Tevin here alongside Terry Radford in the booth and with Connery Maddock behind the scenes. Terry, we're at New Hampshire, so give us the Loudon lowdown, the lowdown, the Loudon, tell us about the track.
Well, it's flat just like I am. It's as small as my arms. And this is going to be challenging. We talked about it pre-race between the two of us, that there's multiple grooves on this track that you can utilize to get into the corner. But what's going to be the best for tire management? Obviously, if you start on the outside groove, right above or right below the top dotted white lines, and you arc your way down to the bottom, you'll get a good chance to save the right side of the car and keep those tires on. But if you decide to take a straight shot into it, you're going to burn that right front off, and you're going to slide up the track and go out of it. And it ain't going to be a pretty sight for anybody there.
Well, let's take a look at the very pretty PRL NASCAR Truck Series schedule. We've done 3 rounds already: Nashville, Chicagoland, and Mid-Ohio. We're here at New Hampshire this week. But Terry, we mentioned that critical race at Lucas Oil Raceway every week. That's going to be a new one for the drivers, and then a couple other usual suspects, a mix of short tracks, long tracks, and even a super speedway to finish it out.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to the short track, Lucas Oil, and this style track right here is going to set up for what Lucas Oil is going to be. Granted, Lucas Oil is a little bit different, but it's kind of got the same aspects of it. You'll see a little bit more bumping and banging there than you will see here tonight, but you could also move people out of the groove in both, and then obviously, like you said, Michigan, Richmond, Kentucky, and then end it on a super speedway plate track is going to be just absolutely breathtaking to see as we close out our PRL season.
Well, after 3 rounds, let's take a look at how the championship standings look at the moment. Driver at the top, Bradley Holly, still yet to win, surprisingly, but Abner Acosta, who won last week at Mid-Ohio, only 4 points behind, and both of them are not too far away from Thomas Sink, Danny Cervantes, Adam Zemke, and Colton Lane, and Sean Powell, for that matter, who won the opening round. Jeff Evans, Chris Harvey, and Austin Hunter round out the top 10 in the driver's standings for the moment, and they're all separated by 25 points. But let's take a look at the NASCAR Truck Series team standings. Surprised, it's 2 Whataback teams up top. The back row squad just barely above the overdrive squad, and then Phase 2 Chassis Works. They've had speed, but they just haven't been able to put the races together apart from that first race at Nashville. They are 1 point over Car Ramrod, who's also tied with Precision Racing Esports. Then SGE Sports Slipstream, the 3rd Whataback squad, and then Riding Shotgun Motorsports, Simulators Anonymous Racing, and the Everyday squad of Team DDI are currently the top 10 in the standings. But before we go any further, we must thank all the people who helped to make these broadcasts possible. First of all, of course, the VCO, the virtual competition organization, helping us out here at RaceSpotTV and helping make every single Precision Racing League broadcast possible this season. This coverage is also brought to you by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. This coverage is also brought to you by RaceLab Apps. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. This coverage is also brought to you by the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with the Butt Kicker. And finally, last but not least, NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Now, for the 4th week of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series, let's start tracking the performance of the drivers in qualifying. Should be getting underway in a matter of moments here, Terry. But we talked before the broadcast began. The track temp is looking like the critical factor here. We're going to talk about that more in race time, but how's a 125-degree track going to affect these drivers in qualifying?
Well, it's not going to allow them to get on the throttle as hard coming off the exit of the corner. You're going to have to be very patient, and that's hard to do in qualifying because this is the time that you need to be impatient. You need to be able to sink your foot into that gas pedal and get it to rotate the center of the corner and off exit to get the straightaway speeds to set you up for a fast lap. Right now with Sean Powell up there with a 30.5. That's not what we saw in practice. Now, obviously, the track temp rose from the start of practice, so now we're going to see speed start to decrease down a little bit. But I don't know, man. This is going to be interesting with some of the guys who were at the top of the charts. Get out there and see what they can throw down.
2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in qualifying. Sean Powell currently at the top of the timesheets, just barely ahead of Jeff Hollingsworth. CM Pennington, this is the line, does improve to the tune of about 0.3 and puts the number 44 truck in 12th place for the moment. But here's Adam Zemke. Not the quickest in practice, we must say, right now, but he was very, very quick. A few races ago, he won at Chicagoland in that triumphant duel with Bradley Holly to the line as Abner Acosta puts it up into the pole position. Adam Zemke's got one more half of a lap to go.
Yeah, and you see the line that he's taking there, just riding the outside groove, works it down to the center, and then going to sweep it back out to the wall. We'll see what he does when he crosses the line here. The first lap, going to score him 6th, and now that's good. So Abner Acosta did the same thing. He slotted down a little bit further, and then he was able to pick up on that second lap. So we'll see once the tires get heated on what Zemke can do as he comes here into 3.
Adam Zemke, lap number 2 through the final 2 corners of the track. 30.6 is better than what he was able to do in practice. If my memory is correct, it puts him 6th right now as he comes to the line. He does improve to a 30 point. I got tricked. I got tricked by the timing. It was 30.4 for just a millisecond, but he actually fails to improve, and he will stay 7th. But here's Bradley Holly, the dominant driver, the dominant truck of the practice session. He crosses the line to finish lap number 1, and it's only enough for 2nd. He had more speed than that in practice. We'll see if lap 2 has anything for Bradley Holly, but for the moment, he's 1/10 short.
Well, and like we talked about, practice session time, or the track temp for practice was not that low, but it was lower than what it is now. So to see what he just put out there, and for Abner Acosta, that's a flyer. A 30.4 as he comes off the corner here. Bradley Holly's going to slow down. He's going to slow down there on that 2nd lap, and that's going to keep him slotted in 2nd. But Abner Acosta, coming off the last week's win, coming into New Hampshire, didn't he tell us he wasn't going to do well here?
He very well may have, but I think that's a lie. If there's 2 drivers who excel at tracks like New Hampshire, these flat tracks, high deg, you need to save your tires, nobody's better than Abner Acosta and Bradley Holly. And surprise, surprise, they are the 2 drivers who will start on the front row here as the dying seconds of qualifying tick down. Everybody has gotten the lap in who was able to, and on pole, it will be Abner Acosta. A little bit of a surprise. He wasn't the quickest in qualifying. He was consistently 2nd quickest, but he jumps up to the top of the timesheets, and he will start in the 1st position as we wait for the graphic to roll in here. Bradley Holly starts alongside Abner Acosta. Sean Powell, a great qualifying, will start in 3rd, and he'll be alongside Daniel Knight. Then Jeff Hollingsworth, a solid result for him as well. And Christian Swenson, so strong last week at Mid-Ohio, keeps the streak up here at New Hampshire. Danny Cervantes and Adam Zemke will be 7th and 8th, and Thomas Sink and Mike Witt round out the top 10 qualifying. Barron Hilton and Colton Lane are row number 6. And then lucky 13th is Mark Kalin. He's alongside Mike Richter, then Stacy Hunter and Eric Papineau. And then the 2 Hunters, Nicholas Hunter and Austin Hunter, occupy the same row down there in row 9. Jim Westerfield and Dalton Geyer, CM Pennington and Tom Amasi, Jose the Funky Cold Medina, and Zach Panzarella are the 24 top trucks in the field. But we keep on going. Steve Loving and James Dewar, 25th and 26th. Robert Gilmore was the last truck to set a qualifying time. And then got a few other stragglers here at the back. Charles Sumner, Doyle Lawrence, Chris Harvey, and 3 more. 31st, Derek Dennis, Dylan Schmidt, Ryan Traver, I believe will be the 33 car field for tonight. We'll see if Garrett Austin takes to the grid. But Terry, it's a hot race. It's a race of tire degradation, and it's going to be a race of keeping those tires under you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have an hour that we have here in our time limit of 85 laps. A couple cautions will take that away from us because it does take a little while to get around this racetrack, especially under the yellow flag condition. So this is going to be fun to see. I think your suspects who are up front right now, those are the suspects that we're going to have to look for, and they're going to be there, particularly most of the night. Now I'm just curious on what driver in that 10th to 15th or to 20th range can maybe flip this track position and potentially come up here and pull some strategy and flip it to get up front to maybe, just maybe, walk out of here and steal one.
Crazier things have happened in the world of strategery. We'll see. Can anybody break up Abner Acosta and Bradley Holly? Both of them, over the course of their entire PRL careers, they've been so strong at tracks like this, at tracks like Darlington, high tire deg, tracks where you need to keep the rubber underneath you. And this is going to be the ultimate challenge, an extremely hot track. We're going to be melting rubber like a sneaker in the microwave. But Abner Acosta rounds turn 4 with Bradley Holly, Sean Powell, and Daniel Knight in tow. The green flag awaits the 33 truck field for tonight, and the green flag is out at New Hampshire. Trucks cleanly through lap 1, and Abner Acosta hangs on to the lead. Holly now runs in second, and Sean Powell makes it one by one for the top three, but Christian Swenson's on the run from 6th at the start to 4th right now, but Daniel Knight trying to switch back, trying to hold off Jeff Hollingsworth as well, and the caution is out. We survived the first lap, but unfortunately, we did not make it through the second one, and it's a little bit of a pileup. That's Nicholas Hunter, James Dewar, and Zach Panzarella involved in turn 2. Let's take a look at what happened.
You're just going to see them here when they come out of the corner. I think we're a little bit ahead of this one here. They're going to come through one. Everything, just gets loose in the center. There's different grooves on this track. You can see them, and, as you're looking here where they have the little black marks that are there in between where the white lines are. If you hit one of those seams, that seam's going to kick the tires out. And depending on where you put it, you can slide through the seams, but you can't straddle the seams like you would at an auto club or a Michigan. But this track is hot, and iRacing is the best form of just pure simulation, to where all of these spots on the track, you're going to feel that. There's no rubber laid down here. It's just hot, and it's slick in that little part of the seam at 123 degrees. Yeah, you don't want to walk barefoot against that.
I almost wonder, Terry, he came around so abruptly. He went around so abruptly that I almost wonder if he was trying to downshift and he just did that a little bit too abruptly, or shifted down 2 gears accidentally, because the truck just instantly went around.
And that's a solid point. A lot of people in the trucks this week have been shifting due to, the gear change they made with the update, and in open sets, people like to run a higher gear, and then people like to run a lower gear in fourth. So, shifting is a way to build some speed and keep the momentum up from the exit of the corner. But he potentially could have, but I wouldn't have expected him to shift like that, especially, that abrupt. It just looked like the thing just snapped. Either braked it in going to the corner too hard, had too much brake price in the front, and the back end didn't want to do its thing, or there was something amiss there.
It will be a mystery for the rest of the night. A couple drivers brought it down pit road. More than a couple. 10 drivers. Tom Amasi, Robert Gilmore, Ryan Traver, James Dewar, Dylan Schmidt, Nicholas Hunter, Chris Harvey, Jim Westerfield, Zach Panzarella, and Charles Sumner all brought it down pit road under the caution. A couple of them were involved in the caution. They came down to fix some of their damage, but Terry, after 2 laps, clearly some of the drivers at the back think they can make a little bit of a strategy move here. Charles Sumner heavily scraped up on the side of that truck, but guys like Tom Amasi, Robert Gilmore, they've got no damage. They're just topping up with 1 extra lap of fuel.
Well, I mean, that's smart, and Austin Hunter actually confirmed it. He did downshift too much for Nick Hunter there. So, lesson learned. Don't downshift that hard for the loud pedal racing Ford. It's lesson here, but I don't know, man. Get enough cautions and topping off with that extra, little bit of fuel, that could win them the race.
Well, let's shift into the restart here. It's almost exactly the same as the initial start. Holly and Acosta. Acosta up front, Christian Swenson and Sean Powell are row 2, the 2 Phase 2 Chassis Works drivers, but the green flag is ready to wave once more at New Hampshire. There it goes, and Acosta's off once more.
That's an excellent start from Acosta. With the way the restart zones are working here at New Hampshire, you can get that launch off the corner, but you have to watch for wheel spin, as now you have Holly getting to the back bumper, and it's 2 by 2 all the way back from 3rd on to the very tail end of this field.
Swenson giving it everything on the outside there. The white truck on the outside of his teammate. The number 11 versus the number 45. Looks like the outside's working for Christian Swenson. He's going to get around Sean Powell. Powell's still there. Can he get in line? He's trying to, but Daniel Knight is there, and Swenson gets loose on the entry of 1.
Yeah, the back end, whenever you go to brake here, you don't want to mash it too hard. You kind of want to with caution comes out here. Caution flags out, 55's around.
James Dewar, one of those drivers who brought it down pit road under the last caution, and he was involved in that last caution as well, so very troubled start to the race for James Dewar, and oh dear, he just loses it under braking, and Robert Gilmore nowhere to go. That truck is destroyed as well, an unfortunate bystander.
That's heavy braking for you, especially on a hot track. You have to counterbalance your braking as you take a look right here with Gilmore. he's going to see it happen. You just see the back end kick around, and then there's just nowhere you're going to go. You can't really yank the wheel that hard because you're going to go on the wall. You have to change your braking points with the hot track because it is slicker than what it would have been, maybe 10 degrees. 5 degrees makes a big difference in grip with these tires. You could go down to the corner with a little bit more speed to arc it a tad bit more, but there's nothing you could do. You're either going to wreck the guy in front or you're going to lock him up and take yourself out.
We have only run approximately 2 laps of green flag running, but some drivers electing to bring it down pit road here again. Mark Kalin, he dummies it. He thought about it, but he doesn't bring it down pit road. Danny Cervantes does. Clearly he thinks that he can do something strategically here. We've only run 2 laps of green running on these tires, but Cervantes is bringing it down pit road. I see Steve Loving in the background, and a couple of the same characters who brought it down under the last caution have brought it down again as well.
Fuel strategy at its finest. I mean, you have to think, how many cautions do you think we will have in this race with the track tip being so hot, with the 33 truck field or 34 truck field? There's an opportunity that you could see multiple yellow flags, that somebody's going to have to come down pit lane eventually. You're gonna do it. These drivers up front you'd have to think they're saving fuel. They're clutching it. They're going to have to be doing something because, well, maybe if we get about 3 more cautions, I would say that nobody would come down pit lane if they're saving correctly.
Lucky dog is Jim Westerfield. He was damaged in that initial caution, and he has driven around the pace car, and he's gotten his lap back. So Jim Westerfield joins 34 trucks in the race. Robert Gilmore, with that heavy damage, has called it quits. He's brought the truck behind the virtual wall, and Robert Gilmore will unfortunately be credited with a 34th place finish tonight. But we rack everything back up. Acosta and Holly back together. Now Christian Swenson ahead of Sean Powell, but for the most part, it's basically the same as it was at the start. We've got to start getting some green flag running here one of these times, Terry.
Yeah, and what I'm impressed with is Swenson. So I watched in practice, you would see Swenson would continuously pick up speed, and as the 11 gained experience and started to understand where the truck could be placed in what portions of the run, what the tires were going to do, what the track was going to do as it rubbered up, that 11 machine got faster as it went. I don't know if it's on the level of the 5 or the 184, but to be sitting P3 right now and taking advantage of the restarts, jumping to the outside, being able to work the bottom, has worked dang near every single lane on this track to make a pass, up 3 positions now from the starting spot of 6th. Very impressive to see what that 11 machine's going to do here. As you have, we're back to 1 to green. We're going to come around here, and now the 11's on the bottom. So can the 11 hold the 45 of Sean Powell off here?
Christian Swenson proving to be one of the main characters here of the initial stanza of this race, and now he finds himself directly behind the 2 dominant trucks in qualifying, the 2 dominant trucks in the few laps we've run so far. But for the 3rd time tonight, it's deja vu. Abner Acosta on the inside, Bradley Holly on the outside, then a little bit of shuffling around behind them. But the iRacing sedan pace car crawls through turns 3 and 4. It will pull down pit road. The yellow truck of Abner Acosta and the ever so familiar bright blue truck of Bradley Holly restart once more on the front row. There goes the pace car. Green flags in the air, and in a matter of moments will be green for the 3rd time tonight.
And that one was not a good restart for Acosta there. Allows Holly to stay to the outside and could potentially be on the door through the center of the corner, which will not allow that 5 machine to really get the run off the exit of the corner and won't allow him to mash the throttle. And now it's a drag race down into 3.
Holly versus Acosta. We're not under caution anymore, but it still looks like it the way they're formed up. But Holly goes extremely deep into the corner. Christian Swenson peeks to the inside, but it does not work. Holly builds up the momentum on the exit, switches to the inside into turn 1. They've switched positions. Holly to the inside of Acosta. He's going to try and go for the lead, but Acosta hangs on.
And we talked about it earlier before the race. You talked about the 2 drivers as the 9 washed up into the wall there. You talked about it with saving tire, and I said that the harder you go into the corner and you wash out of that 3 distinct groove, that it's solid asphalt area there, and you wash into the black up to the outside, that's just going to continuously damage your tires. But now that 184 is under attack by the 11, Swenson's making a run all over the back bumper. It's a three-way fight for the lead here on lap 14.
Christian Swenson trying to figure out where to go. I would almost say he's the fastest of these three trucks, but he's just getting boxed in, whether it's behind Holly, whether it's behind Acosta. Acosta finally manages to pull that truck down in front of Bradley Holly. They're back to single file from first to third, but Christian Swenson's not going anywhere. He almost pushes Bradley Holly down the front straight. It's calmed down just a little bit. Acosta hangs on to the lead after a fierce battle, but Holly is not going anywhere, and neither is Swenson.
Yeah, and this is one of those type of races that you have no idea what's going to happen. You know, we saw early cautions come out. We ran a couple laps under green, and then caution, and then caution, and then caution. So you have to take advantage and capitalize on every restart. You have to make every single pass count, and that's what Swenson's doing here. Fastest lap of the race so far with a 30.9, and it's a virtual deadlock for the top two for their lap times and what they're running. I mean, every one of them is running a 31.1, except for Swenson running a 31.2. So you're going to see that whenever you see somebody get a run, they're going to have to attack. They can't just sit there and just ride.
Holly took the littlest of peaks into turn 3 there. Could not do anything with it, though. Rounding turn 4 for the 16th time. Bradley Holly runs behind Abner Acosta. It's about half a truck length between the two of them. Acosta pounced on the restart. Holly tried to pounce with him, but he has fallen back to second place here. Down the back straight, the gap almost extending with every corner. Acosta seems to have the pace of this race under control. So we have a little bit of trouble in the back of the pack. I think the number 24 and Stacy Hunter in the number 71 might have come to blows just a little bit. And look behind that orange and black truck, the Whataback truck, the number 25 of Danny Cervantes. He's on the newest tires in the field. He came down pit road under the last caution. He's going to send it 3 wide into turn 1, and Danny is on the move.
Yeah, that was a little scary there for a second, but I don't know if those tires really mean anything because they truly haven't put a whole lot of laps on them. I mean, Cervantes is fast, put down a 31.5, fastest lap so far is a 31.0. So new tires or not, I don't necessarily see a big advantage. You know, by the time he gets to the front or gets to the top 10, those tires are going to be at a disadvantage to the drivers who were up there able to save and not have to charge through this field.
Battle rages on here for the final couple of spots in the top 20. Zach Panzarella now. Remember, he was damaged on lap 1, but he is trying to attack Stacy Hunter. CM Pennington getting a little bit out of shape off the corner, and then down in 21st, that's Ryan Traver on the attack. He wants that last spot in the top 20. Traver in the 28, Pennington in the 44. Traver almost brings it down pit road. He was so low, and he can't make the move on Pennington just yet.
Yeah, Pennington got a good run there. As you look at Geyer, is going to go to the bottom in the 365. He's going to be underneath the 71. That's Stacy Hunter. So we'll see here at the moment if maybe they can complete the pass, and the 365 did going into 3. So now you just have to, for these drivers back here in the back, you're going to have to hope that you find a little extra speed, a little extra gear, because this is a track you can get lapped rather quickly, and it's a blanket underneath the battle for 18.
There is a very, very large blanket here. Chris Harvey joining the train at the back, and that is Dalton Geyer in the pink truck at the head of this field. But we're side by side again, or at least we were for a millisecond. Traver got loose off the corner, and that's going to allow the 97 to Chris Harvey to get by around the outside.
There's a lot of loose trucks here. I've seen a lot of drivers sideways having to really wheel it off the corner. And this is the product. We talked about it with the track temp being so high here. These drivers are really going to have to be on their toes. You take a look at the 25 here. Cervantes still making passes happen. It goes past the 26 of Witt, and now he sets his sight on Austin Hunter. Now he's going to come up, and it's about to be another 3 wide battle going into 3. This is you can only press your luck so many times, Joey, before that luck hits a whammy.
Eric Papineau, Austin Hunter, Danny Cervantes still 3 wide. You were here with us in the NASCAR Cup Series in Atlanta a couple days ago. Eric Papineau was involved in a few three-wide situations there. Not all of them ended especially well, but eventually Cervantes does get by Papineau, and Austin Hunter just seems like a sitting duck in front of him. Those tires on the number 25 might only be about 2 laps younger, but Cervantes is clearly doing something right behind the wheel of that truck.
I mean, he's running a perfect line. You see he starts at the top and he sweeps down in the middle and sweeps back out to the outside. That's what you look for in a driver. A lot of people like to just overcharge the corners, and it's no fault to their own. It's absolutely no fault to their own. This track has many different ways to attack it. You can charge the corners for the first 5 or 6 laps, but that tire's not going to stay. It's going to continuously fall off. It's not going to do anything. As you take a look here, Powell getting underneath Swenson, and that's an incredible pass because now we've gotten some green flag laps under our belt. So who could preserve those tires the best? You see a 0.4 of a second battle between Acosta and Holly. It's 1.4 seconds back from Acosta to Powell. So can we see a driver like Sean Powell come up and save their tires enough when this track gets single filed? Drivers are going to move away from one another. There's not going to be a whole lot of battles going on as you work a green flag run, as you take an onboard look with the 45 machine. He's pulling away from Christian Swenson. So can he catch those drivers ahead of him and assert, hey, I'm the long run guy here this afternoon?
I think Swenson might have just used up his stuff when he was so aggressive on those restarts, trying to find a way by Acosta and Holly, and that truck has just fallen apart as Daniel Knight drifts it through turn 2. He's going to be the next one to try and get by Christian Swenson. Not quite to his rear yet, but Christian Swenson clearly struggling on those tires. Thomas Sink waiting to pounce. Jeff Hollingsworth waiting to pounce. And then you got to go back a couple seconds to see Zemke and Lane, who will be fighting for the last spots in the top 10. But Thomas Sink here, he's been strong. He's been consistent in this championship so far. Hasn't got a win on the board yet, but if he is good on these tires, he might have a shot a little bit later in the race. But we watch Thomas Sink here. He's trying to save those tires.
Yeah, saving the tires is going to be the biggest key. I talked about it. When you look at what the tire model does, especially on these trucks, it's totally different from what the Cup Series runs with the 18-inch tire. It's still the 15 over here. So a smaller tire, and the more you overcharge it, the more you're going to cook that right front tire. You slide that tire more than you're going to slide anything else. That's why you sweep these corners, and they're very flat. So the more you sweep, the more momentum you're going to carry from the top to the bottom, which allows all tires to work in itself. The rear end will work in its own. You don't want to cook one tire versus the other, and it's going to heat up quite a bit, especially with this track tip still being so hot. It's not going to change what the lefts do. Don't expect to see a 2-tire pit stop, but somebody might try it if we stay green and they do have to pit at some point.
Danny Cervantes did take a 4-tire pit stop around 12 laps ago, and he continues his charge through the field. He passed Colton Lane. He's up into the top 10, and now he passes that oppositely liveried truck of his teammate Mark Kalin. And the number 25, Danny Cervantes, he may have lost 2 spots from his qualifying position, but he is on a move. He is a hard charger, and he's up into 9th.
Yeah, he's coming. I mean, he's coming in a heartbeat, but I mean, I still sit here and I look at the lap times, right? And it's something that I love to do throughout the run. Yes, he's running a 32.0. Granted, he has had to be in traffic. You know, he's had to make passes. That's pretty impressive compared to the leader running a 31.8 in clean air, all by his lonesome. As you take a look here, you've got these machines battling as Baron Hilton is going to get past Mike Richard as Richard goes all the way wide, going to try to get the run off the corner and keep it side by side. But him being in traffic, having that speed, that should spell trouble for the competition if he gets out front, because clean air is going to be the biggest difference and equalizer in this field.
Richter almost into the back of Baron Hilton into turn 1, but they get away with it. Baron Hilton hangs on to 14th there. A little bit further up here, Colton Lane is struggling. I think I saw him pancake the turn 4 wall a couple laps ago when Danny Cervantes was getting by, and he has a lot of company behind him. He's got Austin Hunter, and he's got Mike Witt right behind. Let's take a look at this right side of the truck when he comes by, and yeah, there's clear damage on the rear end of that truck.
And that's just slight contact. I mean, either contact with another driver or contact with the wall, but you're going to have that here. You get so close and you make contact with the wall again there. As you see the 312 going to go try to go below Austin Hunter going for 11th. But you're going to have it. You're going to have that here constantly because you don't have very many, grooves to fight. And when a truck gets above you or below you, the moment you get back on the throttle, the back end wants to step out, wants to swing up higher. And here comes the 26 of Mike Witt. He's going for 12th. And that 60 looks to be struggling big time right now.
Colton Lane about to lose another spot. We saw him scraping the paint off the wall along the front straight. He almost does it again down the back straight, but he's still side by side with the number 26 of Mike Witt. Austin Hunter's gotten through here. The Mountain Dew truck, the number 26. Is he going to be clear? The number 60 through turn 4? Not quite. Lane's still there. Gets a lot further away from the wall that time. Not playing with fire quite as much, but the battle rages on. Oh, that's very, very close. They almost meet in the middle on entry. Lane drives it up out of the groove. It's only a matter of time until Mike Witt gets by, but Colton Lane is trying to prolong this for as long as humanly possible.
Well, and that's the beauty of this racetrack is there's so many opportunities to make the pass, but there's opportunities to play defense, especially with the line that Colton Lane's running. You stay in that third groove. I particularly wouldn't put my tires out there on the black portion of the track and wouldn't get out of the preferred line. But that's also a way to do it because you get the run as the 26 gets it there and the 60 sends it back in there again. A little bit harder on the brakes than what I would do a little later. But 60 made it work for a while. He falls back to 13th. Then there goes Mike Witt. He's gapped him. Like he gapped him within a half corner.
Mike Witt gets through for P12. The battle for second now. Bradley Holly has completely lost Abner Acosta. A 1.4 second gap has been grown over the course of the last 10 laps or so. And suddenly he finds himself under attack from Sean Powell in the number 45. Powell a little bit lower on entry. He's running that second lane, so to speak. Holly a little bit higher. But Sean Powell in that brighter blue truck, he is looking very, very quick, and it would be uncharacteristic of Bradley Holly to be worse at saving tires than another driver, but somehow Sean Powell is making that look somewhat likely.
I mean, after Acosta's pulled away, but 1.6, as we look at two drivers at the same time, which, by the way, Connor, very good here. Very good production style across here. But you see Holly, he's not working the wheel as hard. You see what Sean Powell's having to do, he's having to turn the wheel a little bit more. But looking at lap time wise, Powell's faster. Like that time he wasn't. He was a tenth slower, but they're swapping a tenth here and swapping a tenth there. So this is a battle of two drivers that just want to put it on the line. And what an impressive green flag run we've had so far. And to see tires come into play this late in the run just shows you the amazing talent that's in the PRL.
But look at this huge gaggle of trucks right ahead that Holly and Powell are going to have to navigate through. They're not quite as close as initially appeared as Abner Acosta gets through Nicholas Hunter. Garrett Austin is behind him as well. So 2 lap trucks that Holly and Powell are going to have to navigate through soon. Acosta gets through them fairly straightforwardly. It's a little bit worrying. It's always worrying when you're a leader getting through lap traffic. We saw it come to blows in the PRL GT3 fixed race. He was the fixed race of the sprint race. I don't remember, but came to blows last night at Watkins Glen. But Acosta does get through Nicholas Hunter here. But Holly and Powell, they're coming. And Powell has actually lost Holly just a little bit here.
Yeah, I think Holly just wanted to cool his tires down a little bit, make another charge. But my biggest thing here at the moment is, we had a little John Cena moment, but they've lost Swenson too. Swenson's dropped back quite a bit to him. So that just shows that once you get deeper into a run, we're closing to halfway in this race. Pit stops, if they're going to happen, would particularly start happening very quick because you want to split this race into twos.
Lap number 41 complete. Halfway will be about a lap and a half's time. But Terry, do you think that they will cut it directly in half, or do you think with those couple laps of caution they might just try and extend it for as long as possible? Well, here we go. Ryan Traver, actually rather Eric Papineau, he has decided that lap number 41 is the time to come in. He's going to try a little bit of an undercut, but I imagine he won't be the first driver he won't be the last driver, rather, in the next couple laps to bring it down pit road.
I would just imagine that you would split this into halves because no matter what, I mean, granted, we saw Danny Cervantes, he came down pit lane. He came down pit lane at lap 8. You know, I still would expect to see that driver come down pit lane because once Abner Acosta, Bradley Holly, Sean Powell, they all come down and the dominoes start to fall, it's going to happen. But they're getting through lap traffic here. This is where you find out, okay, how good am I? How good is this truck? Can I figure it out? Is this something that's going to be a race-winning truck? Or are you going to lose time and you're going to allow the lap traffic to dictate and affect where your outcome is going to be here this afternoon?
Holly gets through Charles Sumner and James Stewart, both of them getting out of the way. Sumner always gentlemanly, getting out of the way, as Sean Powell gets through him as well. But look at that gaggle. This whole train of trucks is trying to navigate through lap traffic. Christian Swenson a little bit further back. Daniel Knight and Thomas Sink further back. That's Daniel Knight to the inside of Nicholas Hunter. He's trying to take advantage of this lap traffic. He does get through Hunter. Swenson's fighting with Dewar, trying to fight with Charles Sumner as well and get by him. Knight has definitely taken advantage of lap traffic just a little bit, but he's not able to close up to the back of Swenson. Swenson to the inside of the 98 of Charles Sumner in turns 3 and 4 and navigates through him. Easy peasy, orange squeezy.
I dig it. Big Buchanan fan. So it's good to see those trucks out here still. But yeah, Knight's making his way up here. But you know, with the lap traffic that's going to be here, you don't know how slow they're going to be in that corner. You don't know what their braking point is. You've been racing practically by yourself here for the past 15, 20-ish laps. So you don't know when you catch them in the wrong spot. Like right here, you see the 45 caught the lap traffic in the center of the corner. If that lap car would have stayed to his outside, he would have went to get back on the gas. He'd have had to burp it so he wouldn't hit him. And then that allows the driver behind him to pick up quite a bit. As you see Mark Kalin leaving pit lane down in the 27th position. This is where the dominoes start to fall. I would expect that we're going to start seeing our leaders come down. I would say anywhere between 50 and 55. I would say they'd be coming down.
A little bit of lap time data. Eric Papineau's last lap, 31.2 on those fresher tires. Abner Acosta, your leader, currently running 32.2. So that tells you the difference that these new tires are making. Honestly, if Eric Papineau is out there for long enough, he might be able to jump Acosta for the lead momentarily, but then Acosta will likely re-overtake him. Holly would probably get through as well, but Papineau thinking the undercut's going to work out for him, at least in the short term, but these drivers have got to bring it down pit road here soon. It's just a waiting game. It's just a matter of time until we see who's going to be the first blinker.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's going to have to show their hand, and you said, Papineau coming down pit lane, that was smart. You want to see if the undercut's going to work in a place like this, just like you talked about. He's gaining almost a second and a half of time as you see drivers coming down right now. That's Hunter. So Austin Hunter's in, coming from the 7th place position. That's one of the first dominoes that's going to fall because somebody in the top 10 had the flipped of position. Now, granted, depending on how many laps he's on his fresh tires compared to the leader, because he was about 9 to 10 seconds back when he decided to come down pit lane. So potentially, if he stays out 8-9 laps, okay, he flips, but then he's 2 seconds to the positive. But the only thing that's going to stop this whole train is the magic rag that flies over a track to slow everybody down.
The magic yellow rag. We hope it doesn't come out. I won't say the Y word or the C word. The caution. Well, I just said it. I just said it. I just said it.
Yourself. Blame yourself.
Anyway, another C word that Abner Acosta is currently using is, oh dear, Mark Kalin, Danny Cervantes, Thomas Sink brings it down pit road. Now we will finally end that anecdote. Adam Zemke's down pit road. Danny Cervantes has brought it down pit road. Mike Witt's brought it down pit road. It's all kicking off now.
Yeah, 50 to 55, right on target. Where I thought that most of these drivers would be coming down pit lane. Here comes Bradley Holly, Sean Powell. That's interesting because that's tight but interesting because Abner Acosta stayed out. So there's 1 lap undercut for Bradley Holly. And, well, Abner Acosta is going to have to bring it down now as you take a look at this replay here.
This is Swenson and Powell coming down pit road. Powell all out of shape, almost into the back of Holly, but I think he did get it slowed down. That was dicey stuff for Sean Powell. Christian Swenson was actually fine behind him. The tire smoke all came from Sean Powell, but now we watch them sitting in the pits. They're all going to take 4 tires, and behind them, Abner Acosta is also coming into the pits now, so no real opportunity for an undercut for Holly or for Powell unless Acosta makes a mistake on the outlap or if he does something very, very wrong in pit lane.
Well, I mean, that 1 lap makes a difference because that 1 lap comes in and didn't put down a very good lap at all. Last lap was a 39.6. So, granted, with the driver slowing down, not being as fast, you see Dalton Geyer is going to take the lead here with Jose Medina going in second. They're going to pray for a caution flag to come out. I would say if you're a driver that's been back there in the back, not really having the speed to be up front, pray for a yellow flag. Hope that you can flip track position somewhere. But look at there, a lot closer for Bradley Holly to Abner Acosta than what he was. It's 0.4 of a second again.
Talk about an undercut. With 1 lap, Holly has found himself directly to the rear of Acosta as they are now navigating through same lap traffic. This is not lap traffic. This is 4 position as they get by Schmidt. Holly peeks to the outside. This is his chance. He's to the bumper of Abner Acosta. They get around Steve Loving. If Holly's going to make the move, this is his best chance.
Yeah, he has to make it now. You can't sit there and wait. As you see Abner Acosta going to block. That's smart. Play defense to the bottom because that's 90% of the time where your pass is going to happen. The outside would work, but you're not really going to be able to get the run because you're going to get loose. As you see, Bradley Holly got a little sideways there along with Acosta. But this is the battle for the lead. So if most people are out there watching going, why aren't you talking about Dalton Geyer? Well, he is the race leader until he pits. The same thing with Jose Medina. This is the fight for the win. If we stay green, this is what you would want to cover. So with Holly being that close, and now Acosta, he's back on the mission. He's got some heat in him tires. He's starting to pull away again.
Holly still only about 3/10 away as the aforementioned race leader Dalton Geyer does bring it down pit road. That leaves Jose Medina, the only truck left out on track, the only driver left out on track, but he will have to bring it down pit road here in a matter of moments. You can see the pace difference. The ticker ticks down. You can physically see the distance coming down through every corner as Acosta approaches on 52-lap younger tires. But Jose Medina is going to get a lap lead. He will bring it down pit road now, and Abner Acosta retakes the lead of this race. 30 laps to go. He was unbeatable in the initial stint, but he's got 30 laps to hold off Bradley Holly now.
Yeah, I don't expect to see Acosta do anything different. We saw this on the initial start where about 10 or 15 laps went by and Holly was able to stay with Acosta, but then as the run progressed, that there was not a big difference. You see the track temps actually dropped to 122. You see a little cloud cover starting to take place here over the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. This could change the way these trucks handle throughout the duration of this run.
Just ticked down another degree, down into 121. It's not very good when you're saying a track is cooler and it's still 121 degrees, but it is still getting cooler with every lap. We see a little bit of cloud cover. It actually looks a little bit darker on the track at the moment, but 30 laps to go. It's not going to be getting much cooler. It's still going to be very, very hot and slick until the end of tonight. But Holly is just losing touch with Acosta just a little bit. Sean Powell really excelled at the end of the long run in the previous stint, but unfortunately for him, this run is going to be about 20 laps shorter than the last one.
Yeah, I think what I was going to have to hope for is that magical, flag that flies over the racetrack every now and again to potentially see if maybe the jump could happen if the two leaders get into one another or lap traffic. If they catch lap traffic a whole lot faster, which I feel like they would because we've been under the green flag condition for such a long time, and with pit stops, cycling everybody through, I would expect to see them catch some traffic that might be a little faster than what they caught on the initial wave of lap traffic. So maybe that's what slows Acosta down and allows Holly and Powell and Swenson to get back up there and challenge for the race win.
Brief update on Eric Papineau. We mentioned him. He was the first driver to bring it down pit road on this previous cycle. He's still in 15th, so his undercut somehow has not done very much for him, unfortunately. He is still running in 15th, about 19 seconds behind the lead, and his tires are going to be much older once we get to the end of the race, so we'll see if Papineau can hang on to that last spot in the top 15. 25 laps left to go. The distance between the top 4 trucks is almost equal. It's about 7/10 between first, second, third, and fourth. Lap traffic is coming. Lap traffic will never go away, but the gap continues to grow every single lap for Acosta. Again, that last lap, he did a 31.14. Holly did a 32.0. So about a 10th and a half every single lap Acosta is pulling over the driver in second place.
Yeah, how do you back a win up from Mid-Ohio when you come to another flat track and you absolutely kick tail? He has led everything, everything under green without a pit stop. He's led it. So the only one way to do it is to see Colton Lane here in the 12th place position, not in the wall, holding strong out there around Steve Loving, and here comes Witt again.
Steve Loving has not yet brought it down pit road for the second time. He's on 52-lap old tires. He came in on one of those early cautions, and again, the battle's back. Mike Witt has to pass Colton Lane again. He thought, I've already gotten by you. How am I behind you again? As Nicholas Hunter gets by Steve Loving. He's multiple laps down, but he is still on fresher tires, and he takes the position, at least on track, in the number 109. But Mike Witt on Colton Lane, here he comes, and he's made the move again. Mike Witt back up into 12th. For the moment, Lane's trying to fight back on the outside, but just like last time, doesn't look like he has enough to hang on.
Well, he'll get a good run on the outside, but he'll get a little loose off exit. So a little battle of the Mountain Dew machine getting up there and passing the Valvoline machine. As you look at the 99 here, is trying to get around the 62. Kalen's having a strong run here. This is a really good run for the 62 machine. But here comes Hollingsworth, so not too bad here this afternoon.
And Danny Cervantes back there in 9th, now on the same strategy as the rest of the field. He is approaching his teammate Mark Kalen. Going to try and get by him again and get by Jeff Hollingsworth as well. But Kalen falls to 8th, a little bit out of control in the exit of corners, as it seems like Kalen always is he's a driver who rings the truck out just a little bit on the exits of corners. We always see Mark Kalen just getting a little bit wiggly, but somehow he always seems to keep the tires underneath him anyway. It's almost miraculous what Mark Kalen manages to do in a truck, but he has his teammate Danny Cervantes right behind him, almost to his rear bumper. The two Whataback trucks back battling each other. The reverse liveries, one's orange and black, one's black and orange. Which is which, that's up for you to decide, but Danny Cervantes gets through with very little trouble.
Yeah, and every time we show Mark Glenn, it gets me hungry. I think about how much I want Jesus. If my wife's watching, I could really use some popcorn here. I'm starving back here. This is a tough life to be a commentator, Joey, where you just sit here and talk racing and get paid to do it. And snack every now and again. You take a look here with Holly, though. Powell's starting to reel him in. It's coming down to 0.3 of a second. Powell's been making some decent lap times here. The top 4, top 5 actually, with Daniel Knight down there, they've all ran pretty much identical lap times. And this time, there was a couple that were faster than the leader, but only by 100th of a second, but identical lap times for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So here we go. Powell's going to try to make this pass on Holly for 2nd. And, hey, this race has flown by. We're almost to the end.
Yeah, get the popcorn out, because this is going to be one of the most exciting battles of the night. Powell is there to the back of Holly, and he's got 20 laps to do something about it. Not quite close enough this time. We can watch both of them again. Seems like Sean Powell looks to his right every now and then, either looking at, actually, I think he's frozen down there. I don't think we're actually looking at Sean Powell permanently stuck looking to his right. But anyway, he is attacking Bradley Holly. He's going to try and look to the right of the track to go around the outside here. But no, he's just going to stay in tow a little bit higher. But he's just not able to get close enough to pull alongside yet.
That would have been a real bad break in the neck if you were stuck in that position for a long period of time. But yeah, he's making passes. He's making it happen. He's right on the back bumper. That time he was almost a tenth of a second faster than Bradley Holly that time, with a 31.89 for Holly and a 31.80 for Sean Powell. So whatever he's doing, he's figured it out. But don't look now, because here comes Swenson. Swenson's coming into the picture as well. Not too far off here. And when these two get battling side by side, it's going to allow that 11 to get up there and make some noise as well. So they're going to have to make this fast if they're going to make it happen.
Swenson was one of the quickest trucks in the short run at the start of the race, and this is a shorter run. It's only going to be about 30 laps from that last pit cycle to the end of the race as compared to the 50-something laps they ran initially. So Christian Swenson, don't count him out for a top 3 finish here. But here comes the lap traffic. Jim Westerfield gets out of the way, very kind. Up a little bit further ahead, I believe that is Dalton Geyer, and a few other lap trucks that Bradley Holly will have to navigate through once more. Will he make a mistake? Will one of the lap cars bobble? Is that what Sean Powell needs? It probably is, but Dalton Geyer gets out of the way very, very kindly, runs about 5 lanes up the track, and they're clear of their first lapped opponent, but that's not the end of it.
Yeah, they got a long way to go to finish this race. Now, granted, you see lap 71 on the board as the 45's hanging that rear end out. It's about to be 3 wide to put people a lap down. So this might be what he's looking for. He might be looking for a contest to the outside of Bradley Holly to allow him to get up to the back bumper and maybe just take the air off of it. Maybe get him a little loose, pull him out of the groove, make him overdrive it. And that's hard to do. Bradley Holly's the most winningest driver in PRL history. You can't necessarily make him make a mistake. That's the good part about him. At 184, he's consistent every lap, but the 45 is going to have to play these mind games. Fake him low, look high. Fake him high, look low. Pull the crossover move if you have to. Do something that he doesn't know that you're going to do.
Mike Richter gets out of the way. Holly, Powell, and now Swenson are all clear, and they're all essentially equidistant from each other, but unfortunately for them, none of the 3 are catching Abner Costa, who's pulled 1.6 seconds now in lap traffic over this battle for second and third. He's going to cross the line here, 12 laps to go, and it's going to be a very easy run for him as long as the flag that's the same color as his truck doesn't come out.
That is accurate. It would be a pretty easy win if that thing that the line is painted with doesn't come out. We don't want to jinx this as we come to 11 to go. So the last thing we want to do is get a hashtag blame us on the tweeter. But the 45 has fell off of Bradley Holly, and he's actually falling into the clutches here of Christian Swenson. So could be that battle going on here as we were looking about to be under 10 to go.
Swenson almost losing the rear of the truck again into turn 1. He's giving it absolutely everything, but unfortunately, it seems like everything has just been a little bit too much. He's lost touch with Bradley Holly. That gap now about 0.7 of a second, and Powell's teammate Christian Swenson is now all over the back of him, a little bit further back. Looks like there's a ding-dong battle in the back of your shot between Colton Lane and Chris Harvey. Colton does get ahead, but Chris is not going anywhere. Colton's got that right side damage from hitting the wall. Chris Harvey places that number 97 on the bottom of the track. Side by side, down the back straight. Is this Chris Harvey hanging on to P13? It isn't. Colton Lane's hanging tough. They both run extremely high, but I think the 97's going to be through for good now.
Yeah, and I like the Tennessee flag on the hood of that 97 for Harvey. It's good scheme. I'm a big fan of that. It's Colton Lane going right back down to the bottom. He's going to try to use the 05 as a pick. Not going to work as they're both just sideways off the exit of the corner. This has been good racing for these drivers here. Here we go. There goes the 11. He's trying to make the run at the 45 now.
Here comes Christian Swenson on his teammate Sean Powell. Remember last week, Christian had lots and lots of pace, but just ran into a little bit of trouble in the S's at Mid-Ohio. and it all fell apart. He didn't get the result he thought he deserved, but now he is in the hunt for the podium. Sean Powell tried to attack Bradley Holly, did not have anything for him in the grand scheme of things, unfortunately, and now he's got to hold back his teammate here for this top 3 finish. Charles Sumner, a little bit in the way, but he pulls over to the right side. Powell gets through. Swenson's going to get through here. Baron Hilton's next on their list in terms of lap trucks. But laps are running out, lapped cars are running out, and Swenson's got to make the move in 7 laps.
Yeah, and I don't see Kristen Swenson being a driver that's going to go in there and drive over his head and do something that's going to take away a good finish, a good points day. And I know points racing early in the season isn't necessarily what you want to do. You think points racing, you think of it a little, later in the season where you might be in a battle and, well, I guess I'll just take a second, or I don't want to charge it, I guess I'll just take a third. But right now, points racing is going to be where it would be. You need to do it now, because then that sets you up for the momentum to go into a race next week at Pocono, and then you go to Lucas Oil. So leaving here with a good result is better than leaving here with, well, I'm going to finish 20th or 15th now because I decided to drive crazy. So coming down to about to be 5 to go. I don't expect to see Powell losing this spot, because it took a little bit more for Swenson to get through that lap traffic.
The gap came down just a little bit for the lead in lap traffic. Holly brought it down as low as 1.1 seconds, but it's all evened out again. Acosta now driving through Colton Lane here. That just tells you how dominant Abner Acosta has been, how fast these leading drivers have been. Acosta now lapping Lane, who is in 14th. So Acosta has lapped almost 2/3 of the field, and Holly's going to follow him through here in a few moments. But the battle between Powell and Swenson rages on. Powell almost washed up into James Dewar a few laps ago. As you see Nicholas Hunter getting lapped once more. Bradley Holly gets by him at the head of your screen, but 4 laps to go. 3.5 laps to go now. And it looks like everything's figured out. But does Christian Swenson have anything here in these final couple laps? Does he have anything saved up? Will Sean Powell make a mistake? Anything can happen in the next 3 miles.
Yeah, this reminds me of what Jonathan Cadell did to me and a couple other people, 17 other people in B Open the other night. I was running 3rd. He lapped the whole field. Lapped everybody. Caution-free, lapped every one of us. It's gone. I stayed with him for a while, but he was gone after that. And Abner Acosta is not, he's picking him up, putting him down. His lap times, he's stayed on the cusp of the 32s the whole time. But I still don't see Powell getting passed here by Swenson unless Powell does something just extra aggressive. The 11 starts at the bottom and swings to the outside lane. It's just tearing up the tires here at the latter part of this run.
2 laps to go for Abner Acosta, and for the rest of the field for that matter. Sean Powell almost gets a bumper to Austin Hunter. Baron Hilton pulls it down below the yellow line. I wonder, is he running out of fuel? Something's going wrong for the number 1 driver. But here comes Sean Powell to the inside to lap Austin Hunter once more. And he's got that little bit of a buffer to Christian Swenson. 1 lap to go. White flag for Abner Acosta.
Yeah, white flag's in the air, and there's no contest. You can coast here with almost a 2-second lead. You don't really have to be too aggressive. The 45 is going to get to go try to lap the 60. This could be dangerous, because you see the 60's been loose here so far.
Powell does get through, though. Colton Lane keeps all 4 tires pointing in the right direction. But navigating through the final 2 corners now, the number 5, Abner Acosta, won at Mid-Ohio last week. He's going to win at New Hampshire this week. The tire whisperer, Abner Acosta, wins at New Hampshire and wins 2 in a row. Bradley Holly comes home second. Couldn't quite hang with Abner. Sean Powell, a strong run, brings it home in 3rd. And here's Danny Cervantes. Alternate strategy paid off for him. Finishes in 8th place overall as he brings it across the line.
It's a strong run as you look here at the... Oh, come on. Oh, man. Thielen holding on to that 10th place position over Adam Zemke. That got a little dangerous there.
A little bit dangerous as Kalen gets loose again through the final quarter, but he does hang on for a top 10, struggling a little bit in the latter part of the race. But Adam Zemke brings it home in 11th place. He's won a race this season. He's been consistent and an 11th place isn't what he was hoping for, but could certainly be helpful in the grand scheme of things. I think Chris Harvey might have run into trouble on the last lap because he finished one lap down, technically, I think. I don't know. But Abner Acosta, very, very happy driver here. Very, very dominant. Led every single legitimate lap. There were a couple drivers on pit strategy who stayed out, ran a little bit longer, but nobody could touch Abner Acosta all night. It's been an extremely deserved victory, and it's been an extremely fast victory. 85 laps we've done in less than an hour, I think. So well done, Abner Acosta, for win number 2 this season. But we'll take a look at the finishing results overall here in just a moment as we continue to watch Abner burning it down. And unfortunately, Austin Hunter has spoiled his celebration just a little bit. Abner's going to have to celebrate upside down now.
It's I wonder what that was about.
Austin Hunter is joining in the celebration, you know? Abner Acosta brings it home in P1, finishes upside down after the flag, but he already won the race, so who cares? Bradley Holly second, Sean Powell was third, and then Christian Swenson was fourth. Daniel Knight, Thomas Sink, Jeff Hollingsworth, and then 3 more Whataback Racing drivers, Cervantes, Hunter, and Kalen, round out the top. That's actually interesting down there. Jeff Hollingsworth ran the fastest lap of the race on lap 51, but Adam Zemke was 11th. Mike Witt was 12th, the last driver on the lead lap. Chris Harvey went a lap down at the last moment. Colton Lane, Mike Richter, Dalton Geyer, Eric Papineau, Jose Medina, Ryan Traver, and Steve Loving made up the top 20. Then down into 21st, we're going to start seeing drivers who ran into a little bit more trouble. Schmidt and Pennington 1 lap down. Doyle Lawrence, Nicholas Hunter brings it home 24th. James Dewar, Charles Sumner, Tom Amasi, and Stacy Hunter were all 2 laps down. Baron Hilton got into trouble on the last lap. He's 3 laps down. Garrett Austin had a troubled run from 34th, but he is up to 30th. And then the used truck lot, all the damaged trucks didn't bring it to the finish. Jim Westerfield did bring it to the finish, but multiple laps down. And Derek Dennis, Panzarella, and Robert Gilmore did not bring it to the flag, unfortunately. But that is the 34 truck field for tonight. Abner Acosta was the driver who came out on top, and now we sit and wait for Abner to show up. I'm not sure if Terry is here. He went for a comfort break a few minutes ago, so let's call him. Earth to Terry.
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you get your popcorn?
I had to go to the men's room. I think with the different server that we're in, we might not be getting any drivers. Remember that we're in a different server than what we were in before. So
that is entirely possible. That was the problem last night. Unfortunately, I think we might not be hearing from any drivers tonight, but all issues will be resolved next week, I believe. So we won't be hearing from Abner Acosta tonight, but we'll ask him about everything tomorrow night. But Terry, I have you in front of me. You're on the server. I can ask you. Talk us through that race. It was a very long run. We had a troubled start to the race, but that was a great long green flag run.
Yeah, I mean, once you get a rhythm going into one of those runs, I'll actually use it in lighter references because I'm not a smoker, but I got candles. So when you when you think of these drivers, obviously at first everybody wants to, the track was hot, just like the lighter, and then eventually the track starts to cool down, and then you're done. So you get a little beating and banging, a little temper starting to flare, fire starts to ignite one another, turns into that, and boom, you get a great race.
Science with Terry. That's going to be our new segment. I talked about a shoe in the microwave at the start of the broadcast. Now we've got playing with lighters. This is all sorts of dangerous stuff. I think the FCC is going to start breaking this down. But anyway, they probably should. I think you're right. But that brings us to the end. And doesn't bring us to the end. We've got a last second idea. We might get to talk to some of our drivers. We are going to hop over to Discord and we'll see if Abner Acosta and Bradley Holly and the like are hanging out in there. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll talk to some of our leading drivers.
Yeah. Thought it'd be fun. I actually need a said invite to that board of this. Or they're in ours. Okay, they're in ours.
The magic of internet-based broadcasting, folks.
Yes.
But we will move over in there. Let's see. Are they in the RaceSpot Discord? Yes, they are. I see Bradley Holly, and I see Thomas Sink over there. So we will
Very good.
All right, we have heard the instructions, and we will be talking to Bradley Holly. It's a very strange way to do this, but oh wait, I have to unmute myself. There we go. Bradley Holly, how are you doing? You finished second. It looked like Abner just had the advantage. He was able to save those tires, but what more did you need to stick with Abner tonight?
To save the tires. That's all I could really do to try to get to him. Maybe get in front of him after pit stops, but other than that, he just had a little bit of advantage mid pace or mid stint.
Is this the kind of race you expected coming into New Hampshire tonight? Did you expect a long run like this, or did you expect it to be broken up with a couple more cautions maybe?
Last time we were here, we had a ton of caution. So I mean, some races it's good, some races it's not. I mean, it can go either way. So I always come in to a race expecting a long green flag run.
Well, you've been ever so consistent this season, but unfortunately, and I'm sure you're disappointed about this too, none of them have been wins so far, but you are in the championship lead next week. Are you thinking about a win where do we go next week? Terry, do you know?
Pocono.
Pocono next week. That's where we're going. How do you feel about Pocono?
Oh, we'll see. Pocono is another tricky track. So another flat, very long track with, heavy braking zones. So I'll have to get some races in and kind of see what my pace is going to be compared to Abner.
Well, good luck next week, and we'll see if the winningest driver in PRL history can break a winless streak this season. That was your second place finisher tonight, Bradley Holly, and I believe we've got one more waiting for us. Austin Hunter is around. He finished just outside of the top 10 tonight, I believe, but Terry, you're with Austin.
Austin, how are you, man?
I'm tired. That was I'm not very good at the oval tracks where you got to shift, and that was a lot of work tonight.
I like it. I like that you're honest with it. So, yeah, it's a different challenge with the shifting. It seemed weird to hear drivers shift when it came to, okay, I'm going to shift going into the center of the corner, into third. Did you feel a difference when you were around other drivers that, shifting just wasn't in your comfort zone there?
You pretty much had to shift to be competitive tonight. If you didn't shift, you were going to lose at least a tenth or two. So really, your best guess was to do a real hard diamond to try and get the straightest drive off to get up underneath somebody. That was really your only chance to pass tonight.
Well, with the momentum of coming home with a top 10 result here this afternoon, do you take this to Pocono next week? Total different tracks. Not one corner's the same. You get to run as much as possible. Do you figure that you might be faster there?
I'm hoping so. I've had a really good season so far. New Hampshire is usually not one of my strongest tracks, so I'm really happy to bring home a top 10. So I'm hoping I can carry that momentum over into Pocono because it's also not one of my best tracks. I usually don't qualify too well there, and I end up getting caught up in some drama. But I'm hoping that I can bring home a solid race and out in Pocono.
Well, I like that. We'll go from one shifting track to another shifting track. We'll see you next week. Any sponsors you want to shout out here this afternoon?
I just want to thank you guys for having such a great broadcast. My friends over at the Houston Curling Club had a great weekend with them in Dallas for our giant bonspiel. And I just want to thank the guys at PRL for all their effort that they do to make sure we have such a great league.
Well, we appreciate you, and we're glad to have you here on RaceSpotTV. We'll see you at Pocono next week, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Joey?
Well, that was an interesting way to do interviews, but thanks to our intrepid director and producer Connery Maddock, we got everything down. But that will round out our interviews for tonight. Only them two, no Abner. But next week, I do believe that everything will be resolved. We will be able to interview all our drivers, and everything will be solved. So stay tuned for next week. We apologize for the slight technical issues tonight, but other than that, solid night, clean night, great night for the Precision Racing League, as it always is, Terry.
Yeah, I was reading some of the comments in the chat there on YouTube, and I don't think Sean Powell was a big fan of the set being a fixed set for the iRacing set. They wants them loose again, which makes sense. A lot of drivers complain about it, that you have to preserve the right front tire more than you do the right rear. I preferably would rather save that right rear and keep that truck or car from getting loose and breaking off the exit of the corner than having to worry about being overly tight in the entry or overly tight off exit. I agree with you. Let's maybe start that trend somewhere. Hashtag make the sets loose.
Hashtag make the sets loose. Send it everywhere. And we'll see next week at Pocono. Will the sets be loose? Will we make Sean Powell happy? Who will we make happy? Which driver will bring it home again? It could be Abner Acosta. It could be Bradley Holly finally winning. Who knows? But that is about it from us, from me, from Terry Radford, from Connery Maddock here at the virtual New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Another great night for the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. We will see you tomorrow night for the Precision Racing League Precision Racing League F3 Series, rather, and then Sunday for the Cup Series, and then we'll be back here Wednesday night for the PRL NASCAR Truck Series at Pocono Raceway. Same time, July 20th. Be there with me, Terry, and Connery, as we always are. But until then, I say so long, and we will see you on the track, in the chat, anywhere iRacing related. So long.